Right, good morning. I today am going to look at the mighty Eden synth, which is built into Nano Studio. When I put out a shout out last week or so, a few people asked me to have a look at this synth, and I was surprised because I assumed that everybody knows Eden, but apparently not. So Eden is a surprisingly powerful synth with quite a lot going on. It's a two oscillator synth. Has some classic sounds, which anyone who knows Nano Studio will know very well. Okay, let's have a look. I go to a free bank here. So what we've got is a two oscillator synth. Oscillator A, oscillator B. Each of these has a number of waveforms. Saw square, pulse, saw square, saw triangle, vintage saw 1, 2, and so on. And up this end we've got things like bass 4, bass 1, 2. So we've got quite a lot of different waveforms available to us in this synth, and then we can mess around with them in a number of different ways. So start off with a mix. This is where we're just mixing the waveforms from oscillator A and B in any proportion we want to. Then we've got two different ring modulation versions. Now, ring 1 is just oscillator B multiplied by oscillator A multiplied by oscillator B, which gives a slightly strange sound. And ring mod for most of us is just the sound that Daleks make. That's how Daleks talk with ring modulation. Now, the ring mod 2 is the more traditional ring mod in a way, because what that does is it fixes oscillator B in place, so that the pitch of oscillator B never changes from the keyboard, and that gives us the more traditional Dalek ring modulation sound. Next one is sync. Now, sync, the waveform of A is reset every time the waveform of B finishes its cycle. So depending on the pitch of wavelength B, and you can change the way that works with that mix button there, or using the transpose on A. And the transpose on B simply changes the overall pitch. And then finally you've got a sample. So it's got a little built-in sampler. So if I load a sample here.
Sock Puppet is a git. Sock Puppet is a git. Sock Puppet is a git.
As you can hear, it speeds up the higher you go. So there's no time stretching going on. It's a very simple sampler. If you are sampling a loop, you can do a note slice and slice that loop up into a number of even slots. So say if you have a 1 bar loop, you can slice it up into 16ths and spread that across the keyboard. That's an option. And loops can be played forwards, they can be played backwards, or your sample can be played forwards or backwards, or forwards then backwards.
Sock Puppet is a git. Sock Puppet.
Or backwards then forwards.
Sock Puppet is a git.
And looping can be turned on and off. So it's the same kind of sample that you get in the TRG pads. So let's go back to, let's try sync, I think. Right, so now we've got our basic oscillator waveforms coming in. Now we've got a filter, and you've got low pass, band pass, high pass. So quite simplistic filters. This is a very old synth. And let's have a bit of a filter envelope going on there. Yeah. And you can invert the filter envelope as well, which is quite a cool feature. We've got amp envelope, so let's have So decay on that, and some release. Alright, so far so normal. I've got this polyphony button, so here I can set the polyphony. There I've got glide mono. And then there's mono. And then any number of ways polyphonic. And finally over here I've got the bend range. If I'm using the optional mod wheel, then I can bend up and down and so on. Okay, the thing that really makes Eden special is it's got 4 LFOs that you can assign to all sorts of different parts of this synth. So if I look over here, LFO at the moment is currently assigned to the A+B pitch. And if I turn the amount up on that, and I'll make that nice and easy to understand with a let's see, a saw up and saw down. Okay, so you hear the change there, and I can make this beat synced. So let's make it every quarter note. Okay, now I can change that to any of these oscillators in the mod matrix over here. So LFO1, I've currently got to A+B pitch. I'm going to change it to AB mix. Okay, so now I'm moving this button here at random every eighth for every eighth note, eighth of a bar, should I say? Right. Okay, now the next oscillator down, that was actually set to mix anyway, so I'm going to change that to filter. Let's go LFO2, let's change it to filter, let's change it to resonance there. And if I'll also make that random step, but I'll set that to a different rhythm. Maybe I'll set it to cut off actually. Aha, so now getting crazy sounds. Okay, now every Eden synth also has a couple of effects built in, so I can add myself a bit of distortion here. So there we have it. And as you can see from the mod metrics, I can change all sorts of different things there. There's also a Performance XY pad that I can use to... It can be used to change various parameters when you're playing. Here's the pitch wheel. Here we are, Eden synth.